Hello. I hope you can see me a bit. How's everybody doing? Just thought I'd take a moment and jump on live. I'll try to do it like this. Jump on live for a minute. So if you was kind of looking at the description, or it says Shanicka wanted to talk about marriage, I do. I do. I want to talk about marriage because earlier I went live in my marriage group on Facebook, and the topic was marriage roles. That's what the good topic was, and I got that topic because I was having a discussion about marriage and marriage roles, and so I woke up this morning and I was like, maybe that is a good topic to talk about in my marriage group. Because I am married, by the way. Okay, been married for good old 19 years to one guy. Still married today. So, and in the discussion that I was having, the discussion was about marriage roles. And you have tradition roles and you have non-tradition roles, right? That sometimes that the picture's a little oh snaps. Sorry. Just wanted to change the direction of that. I apologize. But anyways, yeah. So, um, the discussion was about tradition roles, non-tradition roles, and the discussion about the tradition roles was about biblical on how God set up marriage between a man and a woman. And then you have the non-traditional roles where you have people that do their own thing. They don't really necessarily go by the biblical roles. And I felt like, okay, let's check in with the people. Let's find out if how do people run their relationship. What is the foundation that people set for their relationship? Was your foundation based on the biblical sense on how God view? Because either way, it doesn't matter who you believe in. It doesn't matter if you believe in Jesus, Allah, Buddha, or atheist, whatever it is, whomever you believe in and pray to, that's cool. But God is the creator of all, right? And so when you get married before God. Doesn't matter who you pray to, right? Doesn't matter who you pray to. So, if, okay, you get married before God, then are you going by the biblical stance? Is each, I'm not sure about everybody's religion or whatever, but I do follow the Bible. And so I go by what the Bible says. So it is, I don't know if everybody else's religion has a teaching about the responsibilities of marriage, or what a husband and a wife role is in a marriage. Hello. Hi guys. Thanks for joining in. Finally got some people live with me. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining in. But if you're just joining in, I'm talking about marriage roles. I'm talking to the married people. So if you're married, I'm really talking to you. If you're not, you can stay and listen to, because it's better to gain knowledge, okay, before you go into marriage. So you're welcome. So yeah, the conversation was about non-tradition and traditional roles. And the discussion was, if you are in a traditional, if you do run a traditional role from the beginning, is it discussed? Did you discuss it with your spouse? Did you guys sit down and have a discussion on, this is how the foundation of our relationship is going to be based on? The traditional way or the non-traditional way? Was it ever a discussion, or did you all just assume that you knew what it was? Did you all go in assuming? Did you all go in just going off of what you seen growing up or not seeing growing up or what you heard? Because sometimes we go by what we heard and what we saw in our household. You know what I mean? So, how did you set up your foundation in your marriage? Okay. And that was what the discussion was in my marriage group this morning. And we were talking about the biblical stance. Okay, we were really breaking it down about how God always talk about the man is to love his wife as he loves himself. Really, to be honest, I wanted to tap into that part. Is the man is supposed to love his wife like he loved himself? And I said, well, how well is the man loving himself? Because if he don't know how to love himself, he's not going to know how to love his wife for real. Okay? He's not. He's not. So, and my thing was, how well is he taking care of himself? Is he taking care of his mental? Is he taking care of his health? Do he have good values, good morals? Like, how is he taking care of himself? So, if the Bible said that the man had to love his wife as Christ loves the church and as he loved himself, and then we were talking about how it talks about how the woman is to respect the husband. And I say, yes, the woman is to respect the husband. Yes. But the husband also has to be respectable. What is she respecting? Is she respecting him because he is husband? Or is she respecting him because he is providing and he is doing what he God say do? Is that when the respect comes in? Because you can lose respect, and it is a loss of respect comes from lack of provision. That's just my opinion, just lack of provision. So that's what the discussion was. The discussion was, have you sat down with your spouse and had a discussion about the roles? Is it automatic that if you are a man that you're going to automatically pay all the bills? Is that what is expected of the man? And is it expected of the woman to always be the housekeeper? Always be the one that cook? I love a man that cooks. I love men that get in that kitchen and cook. Okay? I like it when both people cook. You got the man and the woman, you guys take turns. That's beautiful. But if you just got one cook, man, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I hope that the person that's just that one cook loves to cook. Okay? But down the line in the discussion, we were talking about that. So we'll get into that. But is it the woman's role to just be the housemaker? Did you guys discuss that going in? Like, what kind of role are you guys playing? You know what I mean? And I just was interested to know about you guys. What if you're married? Did you guys discuss the roles? Are you a man? Are you, like, is it a man's job to just be the provider? And if it is, what are you providing? Are you just providing finances and protection? Or are you providing compassion, love, understanding, consideration, respect? Are you also providing those things, or does it just stop at finances and protection? So I want to know, are you bringing in all of that along with your role as being a provider? And then for the women, if you are you being submissive? Are you just being submissive, or are you being the helpmeet? Are you helping? Because I read where the woman, she is to make him a better him. Are you making him a better him? Are you making sure that his load is light? Are you making sure that he doesn't have to worry about certain things? Like, what is the provision? Did you guys discuss it? And I just love the topic. I love the conversation. Like, I want to know, did you guys set a foundation in your marriage? And if you didn't set a foundation, do you think that your marriage is unbalanced? because no one knows their role. Everybody is assuming what their role is. Nobody is having a conversation. And that's what you need is conversation. You got to have conversation in your relationship. You got to talk about what's expected. Nobody should be assuming anything. Nobody should be thinking that the other person should know what it is that they're doing. No, it should be a conversation all the time. And I also was think it was important in a discussion that we were having that you we should have check-in times. Do you guys have check-in times with your spouse? Do you check in with your husband or wife and like personally check in and making sure that we're good? Do you check in and make sure that your relationship is thriving and moving and evolving and changing? Do you guys check in with each other? Do you find that it's important to check in with your spouse and make sure you doing what you supposed to be doing? Not about them. It's about you checking in with your husband and saying, am I on point to be the best? Or vice versa. Yeah. Is anybody willing to answer that? So that's the topic of discussion is roles in relationships. And do you find that it's important to have them? Or are you traditional? Or are you non-traditional? Do you think it's important to have conversation about what you expect from your spouse? Do you think it's important that everybody is on one accord when it comes to how we're going to run our relationship? Do you think that's important to your relationship? I do. I think it's important. I think it's important that we have check-in moments. We have check-in times. Like you could pick out a one day out of the week, or you can do every 2 weeks, once a month. Just have a check-in time where you're checking in with one another to make sure your relationship is floating. Because I've been noticing that people have been struggling in their relationships, and the struggle is lack of communication, lack of understanding. You know what I mean? That's what the struggle is. So I'm wondering if people are communicating the right thing. And the huge part of this is there a safe place to do so? Do you provide a safe place to have conversation in your relationships? Do you think it's important that your spouse is comfortable enough to come and have conversation with you about any and everything? Do you feel safe enough to go to your spouse and have conversation about what needs to be talked about? If not, then that is where you need to start. How do you create a safe space to have conversation to make sure that your relationship is thriving? I think it's important. And you could be married for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 1 year. It don't matter. If you haven't set the foundation, you need to go back and revisit, rewrite the plan, rewrite the vision, rewrite. Because if you don't, everything is going to be astray. It's going to be blurred lines. Lines are going to be crossed. It's going to be a lot of miscommunication, misunderstandings, all because there's lack of communication and lack of understanding, and nobody knows what to expect from one another. So me knowing this, I feel like it's important that we discuss it and talk about it. I just feel like it's important to know what what the roles are in a relationship. Do the roles change over time? Yes, they do. Nobody should be the same as they were 5 years ago, 2 years ago. Nobody should be the same. We should be, because the The world is not the same. The world is evolving. The world is changing. So there's no way that we can be the same. Okay? So everything, I say this all the time, everything needs an update. Okay? If your phones need an update, if your computers need an update, you don't think your relationship need an update? You don't think that it's time for you to check in and make sure that everything is working properly? That's what I mean. It's not that really deep. It's all about communication. It's all about willingness to make sure that your life is moving and thriving. That's all it's about. And because I'm talking about people that's dealing with conflict, people that's dealing with conflict, and they button heads and they don't really understand why they button heads. It's maybe there's lack of provision, there's no foundation. So if we can identify the fact that maybe we don't have foundation now, maybe we can figure this out. Why not? Is your relationship worth it? Is your relationship worth the effort? Is your relationship worth the time and the work? Because marriages, it shouldn't be that hard, but it can be hard. It can be hard because you're dealing with two different people coming together to form a life together, and you come from two different backgrounds. You come from two different upbringings. So now you're trying to create one unity, and you come from two different backgrounds. So you have a lot of unpacking to do. And so if there's no communication about what the expectation is, we're gonna have unbalance in our relationship. We're gonna have lack thereof. So if you are joining in everything, I on this live, I'm talking about marriage roles because it was a nice little discussion about marriage roles, and I want to hear from the people. I want to hear from the people. Is this something that you guys even talk about? Is this something that you guys even, is this even a factor for people? You know? Because I think a lot of people that butt heads, it's lack of communication. That's all. And so we learn how to communicate effectively, then maybe, just maybe, our marriages can have a chance. But if nobody's willing to communicate and communicate effectively and communicate to understand, so it's layers to communication. We can't just communicate and just say, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, mm-hmm. No. Are you listening to hear? Are you listening to understand? Are you listening to, with your heart? Not just listening with your mind. Are you listening with your heart and your spirit? Like when you get married, like it's two people coming together. So you forming a life. So we all got to get in there together. We can't if one person is drowning and struggling, the other person need to be trying to throw a lifeline. Because we together, we're not against each other. We should be for each other. We should be with each other. We shouldn't be against each other. So if you have a hard time communicating with your spouse, why? Why is it hard to communicate with the person you sleep with every night? Why is it so hard? So I talked about childhood traumas. I want to talk about that. Nobody want to talk about the childhood traumas. And I say trauma not meaning like something major happened, but that's what they call it. They call it trauma. Okay? Because it affects you down the line. You know what I'm saying? What you experience as a youngster affects you as an adult. If you don't deal with it, if you don't, it is what it is. And so when you have lack of communication, sometimes it's because you're blocking out things that may have happened in your childhood, or maybe you were raised by somebody that didn't know how to communicate well. And so you were taught by a non-communicator. But I think your responsibility is to find tools to communicate or find ways to be effective in your communication, especially if you say I do, especially if you are planning on spending the rest of your life with somebody and just so happen only issues you have is lack of communication. And guess what? You can solve that problem. You just have to be willing to solve it. You have to be willing to be open to gain the tools that you need to be effective in your communication. How bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough? So since you're in there, since you're married, since you already said I do, why not go ahead and give it a try? Why not go ahead and put the work in it? Why not go ahead and pour into it to reap something good from it? Because what you pour in is what you reap, no matter what it is, good or bad. So I just wanted to know, did you guys discuss your marriage roles? Okay. You might be listening to this and you've been married to your spouse for 25 years. But y'all relationship was hard. Y'all had problems. But y'all settled. And y'all allow it to shape your life. Y'all allow it to shape your relationship. Somebody is bitter somewhere. Somebody is living in resentment. Somebody is living in unforgiveness. Might not be spoken, but it comes out in other areas in your relationship. A lot of us settle. A lot of us settle. So yeah, if you're in a marriage for a long time, you may have be the one that's settled for whatever. But you still have time to shape it, revisit it, rebuild it. You still have time if you're just willing to do it. So I just wanted to say maybe somebody is struggling today in your relationship. It's just really up to you to learn how to effectively communicate. So maybe that'll change your direction of your marriage. So I'm rooting for you guys. I want marriages to win. I love love. I love marriages. I love couples. I love the power that you bring when you are married. But I'm not a fan of struggling marriages. I'm not a fan of one sided marriages. I'm not a fan of none of that. If you're not happy, figure it out because life is too short. Life is just too short to be settling. Life is too short to be just saying, yeah, no. You have a right to have what you want to have. You have a right. So hopefully you and your partner can be willing to sit down and have effective communication about the direction of your marriage. So thanks for tuning in. Have a good day. I be forgetting how to stop this.